Hello, everyone, and welcome to Flickering Myth. My name is EJ Marino. Alan Christian is joining me for a gaggle of conversations. We're going to be splitting these up through three videos. This is the first one. We'll introduce each one of these in a fun way. I am so excited. Okay, excited is not the word because this is going to be a harder topic. We are
Yeah.
diving in. We're diving into Josh Whedon today.
We're
Not his
starting on a
work.
low point. No.
Yeah,
No,
not his
thankfully.
work, not his legacy, which his legacy we'll be talking about because I'm curious of that. But we are talking about the recent allegations, the recent conversations that have been started about him, which these have been dated back. That was something I wrote down in my notes. How long has this been happening, at least in the public knowledge? What's happening? So we'll talk about some of that. Oh boy, are you ready for this? Because I don't want to be mean about anything because this is a sensitive topic. Not that I like Josh Whedon, but like it's a
Yeah.
hard topic.
Yeah, now that we're into it, I'm just like, why are we starting on this? But, but it's fine. Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready. We can talk about this. I guess the big one that came out was Charisma Carpenter
A great
came
name,
out.
by the way. Just with sidebar, Charisma Carpenter is my favorite actor name I've ever heard in my entire life.
It's a
It's
pretty good one.
genius.
Is that her birth name or is that a
I
stage
don't know.
name? I
It's
don't know.
it's beauty and she's great. And thank you for standing up. But yes, get into what she was saying.
Yeah, I wish I had the full thing here, but
I
she
do
mostly.
have whatever it is. After you introduce it, I'll read some of it.
Yeah, she came out and basically outlined and to my understanding, and I might have misread something here, this is not the first time she's mentioned all of this.
In
Um,
context, this is the most blunt and flat
yes.
out she has been. She's mentioned
Yeah.
this. It's never been this detailed. I think she was nervous, and she talks about that in this piece as well.
Yeah. Yeah, she kind of this is a more detailed explanation as to where she has referenced some of this before, it seems. But she came out and accused Joss Whedon of very abusive behavior. Nothing sexually abusive, as far as I can tell, but just absolutely just abysmal behavior. Just treating her like absolute shit. When she got pregnant, he
He
insinuated that she should abort the pregnancy.
Yeah, called her fat during 4 months pregnancy. She says, quote, he was mean and biting, disparaging about Opens Otherly, which a writer from, I believe, Buffy has come out and said he would openly mock people in the writer's room, get them to cry, and then gloat about that. We'll talk about he feels nerd who got power later in life vibes, heavy.
Yes.
So going back, he often played favorites, pitting people against one another, and vice versa, with his attention and approval. He called me for a sit down meeting to interrogate and berate me regarding a rosary tattoo I got to feel more spiritual and grounded in a increasingly hostile work situation. She also goes on to say there was a work incident where he was calling her in at 1 a.m. I believe about 6 months pregnant, she said,
Hmm.
coming into 1 a.m. work shifts, which again, she was working, which she said she was fine working. She felt those call times were a direct stab at her for all purposes.
Yeah, I mean, and all of that is awful. I've seen takes, and the internet is full of shitty takes, and I've seen people have a take on this where it's just like, oh, so he was just a little bit of an asshole. Well, you got to toughen up because that's what the real world is like. No, that is not what the real world is like. That is something that people only get away with in a Hollywood situation.
Hmm.
I work a 9 to 5 job. If my boss treated me or anyone that I work with like that, we'd be going down to the HR department and he would be getting fired. That's the real world.
And
You
it's not
can't.
like a mean person on set is something we hate. I mean, look how we memed Christian Bale. Look at Tom Cruise recently yelling
Yeah.
about the mask stuff, and we were all kind of like, well, he has a point. It's not like we're
Yeah.
like, oh my god, mean people on set. That's
Yeah.
Kubrick is still not canceled 35 bazillion years after, so come on.
There is, and I don't know why people can't understand this. There's a huge difference between being an asshole and being abusive.
Hmm.
There's a
Hmm.
big difference.
and these fall into that. So other people from the cast have come out. Michelle Trachtenberg, who was a younger actress on the show, I believe you said she was in her teens, like 14 to
She was
17.
14 through 17 on that
Yeah, because
show,
about
and
Eurotrip, she was an adult by 18 or
yeah,
up by Eurotrip. That's 2003 or four. So,
yeah.
God, that's how I mark life is by Eurotrip.
Before and after Euro trip.
But yeah, sorry, we have to make this subject as fun as we
Yeah, we
can.
got to do what we can.
Um, but yeah, no, so she has come out. Amber Benson, who played Tara on the show, who,
Hmm.
if you've watched the show, she had an infamous killing on the show that a lot of people felt was unjustified, was very out of nowhere. It's a very sudden moment, and then they wrote her off so unceremoniously. So it seems to be something that he did also to Charisma Carpenter on Angel. If you
Hmm.
watch the show, not only behind the scenes, we all thought the character assassination was on camera. He ruined these characters before dumping them. And
Hmm.
now it seems to be something that happened behind the scenes, which possibly motivated this. Sarah Michelle Gellar has come out and said a statement. Um,
Yeah, it's a statement.
it's not much. I don't know how I feel about it, but she said, while I'm proud to have my name associated with Buffy Summers, I don't want to be forever associated with the name Josh Whedon. I'm more focused on raising my family and surviving a pandemic currently, so I will not make any other further statements, but I stand with all survivors of abuse and proud of them for speaking out. Eliza Dushku said something similar.
Mm,
Um, I- Not to insinuate things, I think these are people who were paid favorites by Whedon, so
yeah.
I don't think they would ever directly be affected by it other than being lifted up, which is something people brought up with the Avengers. Why
Mhm.
hasn't any of them? I'm like, the straight white men who worked on Avengers, what will they really beef with Josh Whedon about? It seems to
All
be specific situations.
Also important in that situation is that it's very possible that Joss Whedon did not treat any of them bad because they all had a career before
Hmm.
that. The newest person in that situation was Hemsworth.
Hmm.
Uh, Everybody else was pretty well established and were could not be threatened by Joss fucking Whedon. You
Though
know.
Scarlett Johansson said she wasn't in love with a lot of what happened on Age of Ultron. She,
Mm,
I think, believed she was pregnant at the time, and you can
mm,
see her weird, again, character change from the first films or what she was established to what she was in Age of Ultron. That's another on-screen thing of him being like, "I have control of these characters. I'm manipulating them how I want." He seems to do that as well to the people he's bothering. So I'm curious to see. This all stems though from Ray Fisher, which I
mm-hmm.
don't know if we've really gotten into discussion about, but his allegations against not just Josh Whedon, I mean his are against John Berg, Jeff Johns, Walter Hamada, basically everyone at the DCEU side of things. Uh,
Mm.
John Berg has come out and said the issues stem from him not wanting to say booyah on set, and Ray Fisher was a diva. So, and Ray Fisher's like, really? His comments on John Berg was like, maybe I did have an issue with that. That is stemming from a lot more, though. So yes,
Yeah.
so Charisma Carpenter did say she was part of the Justice League investigation, which is something Warner Brothers. That's a whole fiasco. The investigation of hiring their own investigators to investigate themselves. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
So,
but yeah, so yes, this stems from that. She was a part of that. She has spoken up and stood with Ray Fisher as well. Jason
mhm.
Momoa is another a man, which is, I don't want to say a refreshing voice because yay, but another man in the situation to go. He's This isn't just a woman thing. This is a Josh Whedon problem.
Yeah.
He has a problem with people.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, and this is hard. It's a hard
And
subject.
there's a litany of people that he has worked with for years and several times, and nobody is even after the Ray Fisher stuff when you know uh th- the scales were
Hmm.
kind of more equal. Nobody was coming out and uh defending Joss Whedon over. I mean, even the Warner Brothers wasn't. They
No.
they threw him under the bus.
I mean, they've removed him from a Batgirl movie he was working on. Thank
Hmm.
God. So yeah, they've removed him from multiple things. I mean, he wrote a very infamous Wonder Woman script that leaked years ago that was sexist. I mean, it's not a great script, and very been lauded and critically bashed of the script that leaked. So he's had issues with Warner Brothers as well. So yes, I do agree that no one supported him.
No. I think this is a good lesson that any straight man standing up and yelling how much of a feminist he is probably not to be taken seriously. Is probably to be regarded with a lot of caution.
Yeah, I mean, and again, I mean, this goes even beyond the Ray Fisher thing. Josh Whedon's wife spoke about this. His ex-wife spoke about
Hmm.
this a long time ago,
Oh
and was
yeah,
very much like he's a fake feminist. Like,
yeah, and I've seen that get so dismissed. And it's just like as soon as I read that, not, I mean, I've always just not liked Joss Whedon
mhm,
because I think he's pretty talentless. I think bad writing papered over with pop culture references is still fucking bad writing. So, but people want to, as soon as I read all that, I was like, this all tracks. This all just
mhm,
tracks, not just because I didn't want to, I've never liked Joss Whedon. This all tracks because I've known people like this.
yeah.
I've known people to put on a facade like that, and then this is who they
Yeah.
are really.
And his brand of feminism, I mean, coming and looking at it now, a lot of people have issues with the kick-ass girl that's kind of her one the kick-ass girl who's a mom to the group. That is his particular brand of feminism. And again, it's not a very nuanced take. He does that with all his characters. Look at literally every character he's had, from Scarlett Johansson to Wonder Woman to, I mean, he does this a lot, and it's a
It,
weird taste he has. And I came as a fan. I love Buffy,
yeah.
realizing now Buffy is it's a community effort there. Like that wasn't him.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And I'm in the camp of like when somebody like this does something like this, you shouldn't necessarily throw out everything they did. You want to talk about musicians who did everything on their own, fine, whatever. You can't separate the art from the artist. But when you're talking about big collaborative projects, it's not just him putting things into it. That's everybody's work on the screen there. This this what we were talking about, oddly, this might be a very niche thing to reference to, but John Byrne used to be the artist on X-Men
Hmm.
in the 80s, and when Chris Claremont was defining X-Men as we know it. And John Byrne did not like Chris Claremont. He did not like Chris Claremont's feminism,
Hmm.
uh, because it was much in this way where he's like, well, people were praising Chris Claremont's feminism for, oh, he's creating strong women. And John Byrne left that book and couldn't really take being around working for Chris Claremont anymore, and made the comment a few years later. He's like, look, Chris Claremont is not, he doesn't, he's not doing that because he's a feminist, because he supports equality for women and stuff. He's doing that because that's the kind of women he wants to have sex with.
Hmm.
And and putting your fetish on the page isn't the same as supporting equality.
Hmm. No,
And,
I 100% agree, and that is
and that,
very
yeah,
that fits this situation
yes,
100%, which is what his wife has said, and it fits when you look at a lot of these situations. It's a lot of that. So yeah, I'm curious of what his legacy is going to be. I'm sure he'll work. I mean, Roman Polanski, Mel Gibson, everyone still works. I don't think he's. I mean, Gina Carano is going to work with Ben
oh
Shapiro
my
now.
god.
Everyone works. So again, I'm not worried about canceling him. That's one of my feelings of cancel culture. It's almost impossible unless they murder somebody. And still, look at OJ, allegedly. Sorry. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, no, it's hard. So what do you think his legacy will be? Do you think? I don't think anyone's gonna burn their Avengers DVD in the street.
No, even if they
They should.
should, for it not being very good. Um, no, I think all of this tracks though is the problem.
Mhm,
Like I don't know if anybody was shocked by this, and if you were, you just weren't paying attention. I barely pay attention because I don't like the man's work, and all of this just flows. This is a natural progression to me. So, uh, you know, at this point, if somebody's going to work with him, that's their problem.
mhm,
It's I don't view this in the same way of like honestly, anybody that worked with Roman Polanski after he fled after raping a 13-year-old, I don't like anybody that did that.
Yeah,
Anybody that did that. But if somebody wants to be like, well, I'll work with Joss Whedon now, like, that's
yeah.
what you're getting into. If
Well,
he's
especially for
shitty to
you,
you,
you mostly like won't watch it anyway. So
yeah, yeah, I don't care. But at this point, if you want to go work with him, if a studio wants to hire him, everybody knows what they're getting into.
yes.
Up until now, I feel bad for the people that had to be put in that situation, but
Hmm.
now it's on the table. You know who he is. He didn't do anything illegal necessarily, as far as we know. That Michelle
Hmm.
Trachtenberg thing is weird. Not a lot
Yeah,
of details there, but
yeah, I didn't want to talk
um,
about that because it is so vague. But yeah, so
yeah, it's vague
we'll see
enough.
how it
But
unfolds. But
yes, but just based off of his abusive behavior, if you want to go work for a guy like that, be my
yep.
guest. At
Yes.
this point, you know it, and mm, you know,
Yeah,
it is what it is.
and it's not like his career was dwindling after Age of Ultron. Anyway, he got hired to do reshoots of a Zack Snyder movie. It's not like his career has been in a great spot for a while, even though
That is true.
that was a coup, Warner Brothers style of like, well, we don't want Snyder anymore, so let's do this. I get what they were doing. But that's where he's been recently. It's not
Yeah.
like we've been hiring him because again, he's left Marvel not under good circumstances.
Yeah.
He's fought with them about Age of Ultron forever, and to the point where he never worked with them again.
Yeah.
Um,
Mm.
and Marvel will hire back James Gunn, so it's not like they don't like interesting people, so you
Yeah.
say. So it's hard, but I'm glad we can bury this for now because I don't see him doing much for a while. Hopefully,
Yeah.
the people involved get some closure from this and hopefully can move on. It seems like a lot of them still carry the baggage, which is hard, especially someone new like Ray Fisher, who this is his first big gig and had to deal with this. That
Yeah.
sucks.
Honestly, I respect him for actually being like, fuck this. No. Like, I'm
Yeah.
going to tell people how shitty this person is because he doesn't have the weight, he
Yeah.
doesn't have the pull to just do that. If he just shut his mouth, he could have, this is probably going to affect his career.
Yeah, and Charisma
Maybe
Carpenter
less.
said that. In
Yeah.
her statement, she said it's upsetting that someone has to like balance whistleblowing with their career these days. Like, still, do I want to speak of this or out of fear of never working again? And hopefully, someone hires him. Hopefully, it's much like when John Boyega recently protested out of Black Lives Matter and was worried about his position, and a lot of people are like, "We got you." Hopefully,
Yeah.
people will come up for Ray Fisher and hire him, even if it's just Zack Snyder for the rest of his career. Someone, at least someone likes you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's perfectly fine. We have more to say on that. We'll talk about that in our Zack Snyder Justice League video. But yeah, I think that's about all the thoughts that I can muster on this
Yeah,
situation.
let's bury him. I'll watch my Buffy DVDs and forget he exists sometimes.
Yeah.
You hate that show anyway, so it's perfect for you.
Yeah, I hate everything he's ever done except maybe Age of Ultron. So,
I like that movie too. So yeah,
yeah.
that's my one Avengers because I hate that first Avengers movie.
I don't hate the first one. It's bland.
Yes. All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. This has been a hard discussion, but we try to make it as light as we can. Try to be as not as political. Just this is our feeling. So hopefully you guys
Yeah.
enjoy. Let us know what you think down below. Comment, subscribe, thumbs up. Let's talk about this as nicely as we can. Let's respect everyone involved as much as we can. All right, guys. Thank you.
Except
Thank
weed.
you again, Alan. Yeah, yeah. Screw it. Thank
Yeah.
you again, Alan.
Yes, sir. Thank you.